Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tilting Ground with Michael Muto. I am here with a returning guest and someone who has picked the Kentucky Derby correct 2 times in a row. If you go to the website, you could see the actual documented proof of his horse racing prowess. It's Mr. Tim Foy. Tim Foy, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. How you doing, Michael?
Doing great. So we talked. Super Tuesday was the last time I talked to you. And you're
Yeah,
my politics guy. If people go to the website, they can see you write about it. I've had friends comment on how smart your articles are.
I
So
try.
kudos to you.
Thank you.
And so you're my politics guy. And where are we? When we last left off, it was Super Tuesday. Hillary and Bernie were neck and neck. Hillary looked like the presumptive favorite, and in the Republican Party, it was I think what Ted Cruz won the Iowa caucus on Super Tuesday.
Yeah, and it
And
was Rubio was like in third and still all happy and talking about it like it was a win. There was still Bush. Yeah, there was all sorts of things going on then.
and now we just have one, Mr. Donald Trump.
Then there was Trump.
Everyone dropped out, right? So today we're recording this on a Sunday. And everyone's dropped out. He is the presumptive nominee. I can't imagine anything happening, right? It would just be unheard of at this point,
No,
correct?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's funny. A week ago, yeah, they all still had hope and were just insulting the shit out of Trump, and now some of them are just not saying anything, and the others are endorsing him.
How did I mean? I'm going to ask this question to other people as the week progresses, but how did this happen? How did we even get here?
Yeah, when you look at like all the commentary, back in the day, and not back in the day, like 6 months ago, 3 months ago, 2 months ago, it was just like, oh, someone else will come, you know, this can't be serious. It's a joke, and someone else will everyone else will get behind. But it's like all the other legitimate candidates could get no momentum early. It was all Trump and then maybe Cruz, and like, yeah, people still hated Cruz, so no one really wanted to rally behind him like they normally would if it were like Rubio or Kasich or Bush or something like that. So the people gave the party a choice, and the party kept trying to choose something else.
So I have a theory. I have a small theory. You mentioned, people thought it was kind of a joke, and uh, so I've been reading up to prepare for this because you are a much smarter man than I. And
I don't
I
think so.
I noticed in all the articles, it's Washington Post, New York Times, even Politico. They have these like jabs at Donald Trump, and it's things like bankrupted casino. Like it's just these like factually correct things, or like as Mr. Trump insults women, it's like these it's these jabs, but here's the thing. Here's where I'm coming from with this. Like, of course, it makes sense, and those are things that really happened to him and things he really did, and he deserves the criticism. However, you are preaching to the choir. So when the Washington Post says things like that, I feel
Yeah.
like the people who read it, like, yeah, they're like, yeah, that guy's a dummy. Look, who can vote for this? And you're just riling yourself up. Whereas the
hmm
people who actually support him, one, won't read it,
Yeah,
and
their news feed is like their Facebook friends who
yeah,
just copy some
and
Trump
two,
meme or you build a wall.
will use it to rally. Like, yeah, look at the establishment press just making fun of Donald again. Look at how to get it. And I feel like it's kind of like shooting yourself in the foot. It's a little counterintuitive
Yeah,
when you deal with
totally.
Donald.
Yeah, that's what everyone didn't realize is yeah, first they kind of ignored him and then they started playing his game. And it just like each of those worked in his favor.
It really is pretty incredible.
And
Politics aside,
yeah, and it's just, I mean, it's the greatest defense to anything is just to yell at the media whenever they question you, like, ah, you liberal media trying to put words in my mouth. It's like those are the words you said.
it is just wild. And what do you think people should have done or can do going forward? That's probably a good question.
Um, yeah, to prevent something like this.
Well, no, just because clearly
Or-
whatever is happening isn't working.
yeah,
It's good.
well, I mean, yeah, it's weird. I mean, we have two big parties, so in a big diverse country. So they're appealing to lots of different people and trying to appeal to whoever they can, to get votes. And the Republican Party is just focused on just the pissed off people and maybe some of the subtle racist, xenophobic things since we have a black president. And then all of a sudden, like you reap what you sow there. Like the two candidates that were kind of the biggest jerks were the two most popular with like
Wild.
Cruz and Trump.
Yeah, it's just wild.
So yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it'll be interesting what happened because there's still none of the Bushes, are going to back them or have said they would. So that's kind of unprecedented.
Barbara Bush was very adamant on not backing Trump. The Bush family not backing Trump.
That's pretty funny.
He's how classless he is.
Totally. But yeah, it's weird. And then the thing is, it's like, so I mean, does that help or hurt Trump? The fact that they're not endorsing him, like
I think it helps
them. Yeah,
I think it helps.
It's look at these jerks, and especially like especially the candidates that all stood there 5 months ago and pledged to support whatever candidate was
right
that was elected, and now half of them like still haven't supported them, and some might not, and just like, yeah, but Trump can just say, "Yep, you're liars," just like I said. They're
establishment liars.
Exactly. Like,
just looking out for their own cause.
But I mean, that's just gonna stoke up like the base he already has. I don't know how much he can expand that in the general election to win. But yeah, I guess it doesn't pay to underestimate the man, as we've seen.
Well, I went to DonaldTrump.com. I believe it's DonaldJTrump.com. I believe that's his presidential website.
Yeah, I actually have it up right now, just in case.
I read through the standing, the policy, I guess. I don't remember what they called it. And I was reading through, and this is going to sound terrible, and everyone's going to scoff at me. And I started to be like, I get this. Like, some of this makes sense. Then you stop and think about it again. You're like, wait, how is he going to do any of this? Makes sense. Like, I see what he's appealing to.
And half of it makes sense. He's not saying things that anyone disagrees with us as far as, like, making the VA better,
right.
like more or whatever, like obviously it's terrible. Everyone agrees, like that's more about a practical thing or who knows, but someone who has the experience dealing with horrible bureaucracy, and somehow making it better. But so, yeah, like obviously I was just looking at it and I agree. Like half of it, it's hard for anyone to agree with.
Right.
But then right now I'm looking at his tax plan and it's just like, the highest tax rate is going to be like 25% and 20% on like dividends and capital gains. The new news, like so low.
The new news this weekend was he said that he may have to raise taxes on the rich.
Yeah, right.
That's what he said.
No, and he does say so much shit, and you can't take him seriously half the time, like
right.
Like it's almost his defenders are like, oh, you can't believe everything he's going to say, but then it's like, well, what's the point of him saying anything? Wouldn't it be nice to know what candidate we're electing?
Like there were quotes about how this weekend maybe minimum wage does need to be raised. It's like what?
No, I mean, then that's like, he says a lot of stuff that isn't Republican stuff. Traditionally, economically at all, like they're definitely free trade party and definitely more hawkish, like the stuff about like, oh yeah, sure, Japan and South Korea, they could have nukes or something like that. We should pull out of there. That's not a Republican thing at all.
No, not at all.
So yeah, he's pulling like support from this new wave of voters that they've brought in, but not any of like necessarily the establishment positions.
It's just what a time to be alive.
Seriously.
What do you think? This is kind of out of the blue. What do you think about the businessman candidate in general? I think it's kind of a myth. I think it's good in theory, like, oh, this guy was good at business. Of course he knows how to run things.
Yeah.
But government is such its own beast that I don't think it translates one to the other.
Yeah, president is not a CEO. You can't fire people at your will. And yeah, you definitely gotta learn how to massage things a lot more than in business sometimes.
And I
But
don't think
there's some businesses that are more like that, or some business leaders whose approach is more like that. So it's not the worst thing. I like it in theory, and maybe if someone actually had experience, or like if you had a Bloomberg or something, maybe that would have more of appeal because he's also been a mayor,
yeah, he
of
was
a
the one
major
guy I thought
city.
of was he's a business guy, but people seem to like him.
Yeah, and that was kind of one of his things as mayor. Like he kind of did things that maybe pissed off both sides, as far as unions or whatever, and that's appealing
Well, really, that is what
because,
you
but
should do if you're in
yeah,
politics.
those are the politicians I love, but it's hard to find those because if you're successful, usually it's because you've been in this one party forever and you're not going to be the one to piss off your party, So the businessman, or the independent is able to do that maybe easier, but yeah, or also maybe it's harder because yeah, for sure, I agree.
No connections, no history, and because
Yeah,
Trump always says, "Oh, I'm going to negotiate with people." Like that doesn't mean anything.
and
That's
Trump,
just like a
yeah,
statement. It's like,
and
"Oh, I'll
Trump's
negotiate."
and for sure, and Trump's kind of a different kind of businessman too. There's some that like have built their own companies, and he's all like real estate, like definitely, it's built, but it's all on the brand and leasing the brand, and taking advantage of the laws that you can't take the country into bankruptcy, like you
Right.
can't just take that risk and be like, oh, if it doesn't work out, whatever. Like it's way different.
Well, he also said this weekend, as I was preparing for this, that he just casually mentioned not paying back debts for America,
Yeah, that's that's yeah, one thing I was
and
reading too.
everyone's flipping out about that.
Yeah, it's just like, and I mean that's something like the whole global economic system almost is based on that. U.S. debt is the safest debt in the world. So
Right.
like that could blow some shit up if we actually didn't pay that off because like as bad as our economy can look sometimes, or as big as the debt is, or that, like, we just have a ton of assets. We have a ton of profitable companies. They're very easy ways for us to raise money if we need to. Like you can always raise taxes. I guess it's very hard to do, but really, if you need to, we can, and that's why our debt's so secure. And then, yeah, having someone who might be president saying like,
Just casually meant drop not
maybe
paying back
not.
debts.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's the reason we owe China so much money isn't because we go to them begging for money. It's because we sell our debt on the open market and they want it because it's, so
Right.
secure, So,
It's a good investment.
yeah, exactly. They
American
could,
debt, the whole, like you said, the
yeah,
whole global economy is based on American debt and the
yeah,
fact that
yeah.
we pay it back.
Yeah, if China didn't want to have, whatever it is, $1 trillion in our debt, they could get rid of it at any day. They could sell it to anyone else. And then we'd owe that money to that country, and that would be our big political issue.
So, what do you think happens next for Mr. Trump? I kind of feel like he is kind of going towards the middle, as people tend to do when they get in the general election,
He's
and I
got
think that
to.
hurts.
Yeah, I mean, but I feel like his supporters are his supporters. So whatever he can do to pull in anyone else, maybe I don't know. That's just how it works traditionally. But yeah, maybe if he does anything traditionally, that's gonna hurt him.
Right, because every time we think he should zig, he zags, and he's ahead of every curve. Everything that's happened, he's been ahead of.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
And I feel like this is going back to the norm, regressing to the norm, which he shouldn't do.
You're right, and he keeps saying like or hinting that he's going to or act more, but he doesn't, and it's just like, well, also you are who you are. He's never shown himself to be reserved.
Yeah, why start now?
Yeah, and or can he even start now?
It's just wild. It's just wild, man.
Totally. It is funny starting to read just like the reality of the implications of other countries, starting to think about maybe Trump will be our president and how much that would affect them.
I mean, everyone I read says it can't happen, but that's what they said in Iowa. This can't happen.
Yeah, well, the Republican race had so many candidates that it was kind of like anyone could come out of that, and he just like started with the lead and took it, and yeah, it was the no one really liked the establishment people, but I don't know. The general election's different. He's consistently just unpopular, and I don't know. It's like the 20 to 30% range that he has to win it, but it's like, hey, there's 20-30% chance that he wins it. That's not
Yeah, it's
nothing.
crazy.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, normally those candidates don't win, but you never know. And especially if something crazy happens, like if Hillary actually gets indicted for email stuff, or if there's like some terrorist attack, like something weird, then it's like a whole different ballgame. So
Speaking of terrorists, maybe you could help rectify something in my brain.
yes.
So one of the most positive things, I guess, about Trump and Bernie are they want to kind of they want to pull back in foreign affairs, right?
Hmm.
That's something that we're not the world's policeman. That's something people like to say.
Yes.
So, but Mr. Trump here, he has said that he would find terrorists and kill their families. Like that's a real thing. And
Yeah.
and he would be hard on terrorism. And in my head, I understand that the terrorists are the enemy of the United States. It's like there's a direct correlation.
Hmm.
However, I don't understand how you expect to keep terrorists in other parts of the world if you're not helping the world do other things. Like it's just like
Yeah.
a weird. It's like you gotta give to get.
Yeah. That's exactly the thing. Is yeah, it's like Trump's stance is generally not as hawkish as the Republican Party militarily, but then there's parts where it is more hawkish.
Right. Yeah. And I can't.
Like,
I have trouble with that in my brain.
yeah, and it's just like just because. I mean, it's got to be because he has no idea, right? This can't be like this well thought out policy.
Right. It's like in theory, it's
It's,
like, oh, of course we can catch terrorists. We can catch all the
yeah,
terrorists. We're
it's just like,
America.
oh, I'm in talking in front of people where it's good to talk tough on terrorists. So it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna kill them and their family. But then you're talking to people where it's like they don't want. I don't know. Yeah, I guess yeah, they don't want us to feel like we're the military or the police of the world. But yeah, I can't wrap my head around a lot of Trump things, and that's definitely one I'm with you there. That I don't get it.
Fair enough. So another thing that Trump and Mr. Sanders have in common is something you like to talk about a lot. It's the TPP.
Yes,
Can you break
yes,
that down a little for me? I was trying to read about it. I was trying to look on Wikipedia, look at stuff you read before, look at other people's critiques.
yeah.
Just help me out with it. Why are you? First of all, are you for it or against it?
It's so
Generally.
complicated, but generally I'm for it, and generally I'm for trade agreements, and I absolutely understand that. Um, it's weird, and it's people making these deals that are business leaders and political leaders, but it's like who else should negotiate deals between countries besides the leaders of the businesses and the governments? Like so part of it, like it is the shady backroom deal thing, but it generally becomes open to the public, and there are goods and bads, but I think the benefits outweigh the bads, and like by far, it's just that they're spread out across everyone over long periods of time, whereas all that gets publicized in America is factories moving or something like that. But
Now, what's the PP is Pan Pacific, right? That's what it stands for.
it's the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Oh,
Yeah,
Trans Pacific Partnership. Okay.
I think so. Yeah. um, yeah. So I mean, there's part. It's basically just setting up a trade deal with a bunch of countries in Asia, and I mean, most others want to be a part of it, and it is also a way for the U.S. to use our influence to make their labor laws more fair, to make their environmental laws better. Like we do hang carrots out there that are beneficial to the world. To say, hey, if you want to open your markets up to our markets, like you got to do better as far as human rights and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people say we don't do enough, but generally, you can't just take these huge steps. There are baby steps in these that help, and they also open up their markets to our economies, and like the biggest benefit is like purchasing power in America, which, because we're a consumption-based economy, basically how much you can buy is one of the better measures of your quality of life, along with, healthcare, crime rates, and, stuff like that. But the more you can buy, the better off you're living. And because of these trade agreements, the average purchasing power of the American, is up like 30% over the last few decades, but the average purchasing power of the poorest Americans is up 60% or more over the last few decades. So it's one of the few economic policies that helps the poor at a higher rate than it helps the rich. The poor are able to buy more things and live better because of these free trade agreements. The problem is that's a gradual improvement over time that's not very apparent, but when someone loses a factory job, that is very apparent. So, I think the solution is not to not have free trade. It's to do more to the people who lose their jobs, to help, with things like wage insurance, and training to get new jobs. So, like, I know the people against free trade, it's that loss of jobs that they hate. But I think that's just, one of the negative side effects that we should do more to, but it's not a reason not to engage in these policies. I talked a long time. I'm sorry.
No, I like it. I need it. This foreign trade and trade agreements is a very confusing part that I think gets boiled down to catchphrases and terms that don't actually matter.
Yeah.
Or, isolationism, or
exactly.
factory jobs. It's just like these talking points that don't actually mean what you think they mean. And
absolutely,
we all need help breaking things down. I'm not too proud to admit it.
Right, for sure. And sometimes the numbers are weird. And if I get in an argument with someone or a discussion, people start throwing stuff out, and you're just like, I don't know how to respond. You got to go look that up later. It's confusing, and so I agree, and certainly there's stuff I might be wrong about or I need to learn, but just my general philosophy is that the free flow of goods, people, information, and ideas is a good thing, and that's what will make the world and all of us better, and free trade facilitates that.
Something that I don't think that, because most people who vote, we're old now. We are old men now, and
yeah, unfortunately,
most people who vote are probably older than us.
Yeah, for sure.
And we were joking about technology. We're not in the same room right now. And we were joking about technology before this started. And I don't think something people like our age and older really realize are people younger than us don't understand borders. They don't. There are no borders for them. They go on YouTube and talk to people in China. They can send emails to people in India.
Totally.
They can have a virtual assistant from Romania. Like
yeah.
Like people younger than us don't. Borders are dumb to them. They're just like a hassle. Whereas
that's awesome.
People older than us don't understand, like, no, this is America does this, and things, and our products go out here.
Yeah, totally.
It's like this very antiquated system, and I feel like that's another thing that doesn't get talked about enough, is just how much the world has changed from even the year 2000 to, I guess that's 16 years. But
yeah, right.
How much the world changes, like bang, bang, bang. So even since Obama became the president, it's a whole different world. It's so much easier to talk to people. It's so much easier to do things. What people want to buy. Like, information is more important than actual factories and merchandise things, tactile things you could touch.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing with the, when people focus on all the jobs we've lost, it's like those are in more antiquated or low skill industries, and look at the jobs we've gained in the high tech industries, or there's more solar jobs gained than we've lost in coal, but it just, gets advertised, because these towns are built around coal, so they get poor or that. But yeah, it's generally for the better, yeah. And yeah, I think it's great that
it's a whole new world.
Yeah, I love it for sure.
As silly as it sounds, like
yeah.
I just think that's
Jasmine on a magic carpet.
But it's true. You can go anywhere in a second.
Yeah, no, it's terrific. I love it. Even just sitting on your TV, on your couch watching TV, like all the stuff on the National Geographic Channel or what, like we couldn't even see inside of Russia, like
Right.
20, 30 years ago or whatever. And now there's all these, you just watch all this nature, all this history, or all this, I don't know. It's awesome.
Like
Yeah.
I can't defend zoos anymore. I used to think people always think, oh
Oh, right.
look how sad that giraffe is. And it's always like, well, like that's the thing. Like people need to know what the rest of the world is like. But now we
Yeah.
can see YouTube and everything's like, yeah, man, that really sucks for those animals in those cages.
Isn't it funny how quickly that's changed too? Like
Yeah.
throughout hundreds of years of history, thousands of years of history, that was just like, hey, that's a good score. You grab that exotic animal from somewhere else, like
And
you're
it made
doing
sense.
good.
Yeah.
And now finally, it's like, dude, that's kind of sucks for that animal, man. What are you doing?
Like you could, yeah, we could just get a webcam in there, see them in
Right?
their natural habitat.
Yeah, you can afford that. Go fly out there and see them, once a year.
Yeah,
Dude,
that's
live
true. We have
lucky or
transportation that
something.
gets you there in hours.
Totally. Oh man, especially like the blackfish. You seen that one?
I won't watch it. I don't think I have the stomach for it.
Oh, that's rough.
It'll
Yeah.
make me sad.
The worst part is like there's like this burly dude like that was working on the ship like helping them capture it. He was like Vietnam vet, just like biker bearded, just like talking about like yeah halfway through that like they're capturing these orcas, just like yeah I was wrong man, we were crying, we just realized it was like oh man I don't want to hear this.
Ugh.
Oh, I went to SeaWorld as a kid, it was all fun.
But how else would you know about killer whales that many years ago?
Right, no, exactly. Back then, for sure. And we were a bit more ignorant about it. I mean, obviously not the people involved on all levels, but as the public, it's just like, oh yeah, it's good. We can study them and they're healthy and happy and they get to feed and do tricks for us. Good for them.
Right? It's safer.
Yeah.
It's safer in the tank.
We're both happier, yeah.
What a great analogy. It's safer in the tank.
Yeah.
So anything you want to talk about as we wind this down here? Anything that we didn't
Um,
hit?
I don't know. I think we got most things. What did we do? Oh,
Any
I,
Bernie talk? We haven't talked about Bernie at all. You want to
no, I do want
Bernie
to point
Hillary?
out some of the Trump supporters versus non-supporters, and I think it's great that Dick Cheney's on board, and then none of the Bushes are. And like I I used to freaking hate on all politicians, and think they're all evil because you got to play this game. But now I try to be more forgiving. Like, hey, if you care and try to make a difference, then yeah, it's a dirty game, but give people credit for trying. But I still think like Dick Cheney might be the devil, like I can't see any redeeming qualities in him, and so it's funny that he's on the Trump train when
Warmonger is.
exactly when none of the Bush people are. But yeah, what else oh yeah, the Bernie, yeah, he's still hanging in there. It's funny. It's funny how he's talking about getting the super delegates now, and like
Yes, that is pretty funny.
yeah, and I think it would be hilarious if somehow he actually made it happen, because then it'd be like Hillary was like not beaten nearly as bad by Obama, and she gave in and played the game. And now this year, when she's up way more than she was down, Bernie's not going to give in and play the game, and if he somehow beats her, she'd just be like, "You son of a bitch." And then it would be just funny. It'd be like good sitcom stuff or something.
It is just bizarre. Like, how can you're not gonna win, man?
Yeah, and like totally looking back historically, like this is the kind of the time where you make good with the party and just make sure your platform is more included.
Think about the money he's wasting. I guess he wants his platform at the convention, right? Isn't that what everyone's saying?
Yeah, and yeah, I think it's going to be there either way, but I think obviously he's always been more of a protest candidate, so he's not necessarily going to play the same game as everyone else.
Well, after this on the podcast, if you're listening, listeners, will be another one of our friends, Justin, will try to convince me to become a Bernie Sanders voter. So, Tim, any questions I should ask Justin? We'll put some synergy here between the guests.
Oh yeah, I mean, I like Bernie. I don't really discredit anyone for voting for Bernie, but yeah, the biggest thing I'd put at him is just how realistic it is that he can get things done. especially, I mean, as far as I know, his tax rate would propose like a real like the highest tax percentage would be like in the 70s. Stuff that's like crazy high, real outlier stuff that's just hard to have. Like I agree with a lot of his policies, and I think I hope we try to get there eventually. But it's just yeah, like how are we gonna get to free college
The
forever?
practicality of it all
Yeah, like I mean,
in 4
I
years.
understand wanting to get to free college for everyone, but isn't a better step and realistic step like getting free junior college for everyone? Maybe working on like trade school, or something like that that's maybe more realistic that can get more broad term support. And these are state universities. I'm not sure how the federal government, that would just be providing huge subsidies. Like I don't know, like I like a lot of the ideas, but I'm not always sure on how we can get there and how we can get there that fast.
All right, I'll try to form some good questions out of that, out of your
And
concerns.
then also, I'm the free trade guy, so.
Well, of course, the freest of trade.
Yeah, well, I'm with them on the doing more to support, and that's what I like, Bernie, is the raising, our safety nets. I'm all about that, and there should be, free daycare for kids and preschool and whatever we can to do those things. I'm down for. Um, but also calling yourself a socialist, I don't want the government to socialize any businesses. I don't think he does either, but I don't know why he uses that term then.
Well, I imagine healthcare. They probably want socialized healthcare.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. I guess
Maybe I
that's the
guess
one thing.
socialized education too, if the
Yeah,
government's paying for it.
but then it's like, yeah, maybe like the oil industry too, and then I'll, probably
Energy.
not.
Nah.
But yeah, it's just like I don't know. It's not necessarily the way our economy has worked for a while, and I
Well, once
don't
we
know.
get solar self-driving cars, I mean, energy will be a whole different thing.
Totally. I'm all about the self-driving
Oh, I
cars
can't wait.
any
Yeah,
day now.
if somebody had that as their platform, like I just want to advance the self-driving car,
Screw everything else. That's
yeah,
what we're going for. Like, all
that
right,
will
that
make
sounds good.
America great again.
For sure.
Like, I just can't wait. I just imagine it's like a utopia when the cars drive themselves.
Seriously.
I just can't wait. I don't care about the trucking jobs lost. We'll figure it out. We'll make it back somewhere else.
Ah, dude, everything evolves. We'll figure something else out. People will make so much money off it, then we'll rip them off from their money some other way.
Yeah,
Weird
everyone will be so
services,
happy.
sell expensive vodkas and watches and whatever. You
Exactly.
can you can rip rich people off with luxury products all day long.
Oh, beautiful. It's a beautiful world.
Amen.
Well, on that, rich people off with luxury products, I think is a good place to end this. I think
That's how we fix the income inequality problem.
truer, simpler words have never been spoken. So I think we'll have you back around convention time. Maybe we'll dig deep into platforms on for both parties, or maybe just one.
Yeah, hopefully we'll know a lot more. For sure, with conventions they get out their actual uh, platform and everything, and I know that's like the polling doesn't really get all serious until after that. So yeah,
If
usually
you
know
if you
more.
remember, 12 years ago is when we met a young Barack Obama at the Democratic National Convention.
That is true.
So you got to keep your eyes on it. Everybody, you don't know who could be coming up through the ranks.
Yeah, and 4 years ago was Clint Eastwood lecturing an empty chair.
Yeah,
So,
memories.
good times.
All right, man. Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And you can read all of Tim's articles on the website. I'm sure he'll have more political articles. What comes next, Belmont or Preakness?
Preakness, 2 weeks.
So
Look
Tim will
out.
have a Preakness preview for you in 2 weeks. He got,
Hmm.
I believe, I mean, it was a triple crown last year, so you got all the bets right.
Oh yeah.
So you're 4 for 4 on
Uh,
gambling articles
oh
for horse
yeah.
racing.
The horse racing industry should thank me.
All right,
Doing a
buddy.
great service. Thanks for having me, Michael.
Always a pleasure.
All right.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Later.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Hey, good times.
I think that went well.
All right, I hope so. Yeah, it seemed all right.
Not too much has happened. So,
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
but
there's.
as my political correspondent, I felt like you had to go first.
I like giving myself titles when I write your
I gotta,
articles.
yeah, I gotta keep it like, I gotta keep the people who started with me close.
I
It,
appreciate it,
it's
dude.
keep it in the family.
Have you ever seen the old? It was like the Big Time in Hollywood, Florida. It was like some Comedy Central show.
No.
Ah, dude, yeah, it's like no one saw it. We just cut the cord, so we got like all the streaming stuff. But I don't know if you can't look that shit up. It's pretty funny.
What is it?
It's like two brothers like in their 30s that living at home making movies in Florida, and their parents like finally like, all right, you got to get the fuck out of here and get a job. And they just do the most bizarre shit not to. They're like, let's pretend like you fucking owe this drug dealer 20 grand, so we got to pay him. So then if we're kicked out, we got 20 grand, we can live for a while. and and it's got like Ben Stiller in it. Like this total like first two episodes, Ben Stiller like is there like acting pretending